What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Face the Heels Pro Wrestling Talk. This is episode 33. My name is Ben Cornett. How is everybody doing tonight? We are on. Last night, we had the Super Bowl for the NFL, and now we're headed toward Pro Wrestling Super Bowl, which is WrestleMania. But there is one more stop first, and that's in Australia. That's Perth, Australia, to be exact, for Elimination Chamber. So tonight, we're going to discuss the WrestleMania press conference, the kickoff show, whatever you want to call it, that happened this past Thursday. I watched it. It was pretty entertaining. I got to admit, it was very unique. Coming out of this, from the previous SmackDown where Cody said he would wrestle Roman, but not at WrestleMania. There's a lot of backlash from many fans, feeling like The Rock just came in, took his spot, just shoved Cody to the side and, wanted Rock and Roman. And, I explained on the last episode, my feelings on it. It's just one of those things where, I get it. Cody won the Royal Rumble. Rightfully so. He gets to pick his opponent. We all thought last week on Raw the direction they were going to go was Rock, Roman, and Cody, Seth. But instead it was Cody coming out after The Rock said Roman picked The Rock, and then The Rock came out with this big family tree, which was pretty unique on the big screen. Talking about the heritage, head of the table, stuff like that. And then finally Cody comes out. We all know what happened there. They get into it verbally, and then, The Rock slapped Cody in the face. And and away we go. And then there's a clip after the show. It's all over YouTube. Rock telling Triple H to fix it. It's pretty entertaining stuff. I got to say that, when you saw this, it kind of had that Attitude Era vibe, where we're pushing that envelope just a little bit more. And I'm all for it. I'm not just saying Attitude Era because The Rock was in the Attitude Era, stuff like that. But it's nice to have that edge, to it, a little that grittiness that pro wrestling seems to be missing these days. Well, at least WWE is. Now, I understand they're a publicly traded company. They have to do certain things, without crossing those barriers. But at the same time, it's nice to have that edge to it, that little realism to wrestling that seems to be missing nowadays. And I felt this press conference really gave you that realism, that it just felt like a big fight atmosphere. Anything goes, let it loose. And that felt great. And I'll say this, I feel much better now than I did a week ago about the WrestleMania card. Now, I've been on record saying that Rock and Roman should be the way to go because that is a good, dream match at a WrestleMania. And, again, with The Rock, you don't know how much time he has. Over the years, he's been making movies. He's been doing projects, not having the time to come back to WWE to do a match, stuff like that. Especially with, him wrestling and doing physical stuff. He has to have insurance, sign liability stuff, things like that, things of that nature. So with that being said, to get The Rock in a WrestleMania with Roman, I was all for it because you just don't know how many more opportunities you're going to get with that. So, but now things have changed. And I think WWE felt with the social media presence, listening to the fans, they realized, okay, we're going to have to pivot again, and they get it. Triple H, Nick Khan, The Rock, he's on the board. They're listening to the fan base, and you know, they said, okay, we're going to go back to Cody and Roman. So, but there's still a lot of that could very well happen in the next 8 weeks. We've got about 8 weeks to go with a lot of programming going on. You got 16 shows, Raw and SmackDown. There's a lot of time to where they can still do some different things. So it's not out of the question that they could, you know, do something else. You never know, and that's, in a way, that's kind of nice because, pro wrestling, what I loved about it growing up was the unpredictability. That's the beauty of pro wrestling. It's like, what's going to happen? You get that anticipation. What about this? What are they going to do here? And today's pro wrestling landscape, especially the last several years, especially WWE, we really haven't had that unpredictability, that, stay on the edge of your seat kind of vibe that it once had. So, I think it's good that they went back to Cody and Roman. It's not that, again, from that SmackDown a couple weeks ago, it's not that I hated that Rock was pushing Cody aside, going after Roman. It's the way they did it, the way they went about it, with the script and everything. So with that being said, I think they realized, WWE, that's Rock, Triple H, they realized, okay, we need to go back to square one. We realized, okay, let's fix this rather than, keep going to where fans are gonna, a lot of fans they'll probably crap all over Rock, Roman. They don't want that. WWE doesn't want that, especially in a city like Philadelphia, where you're gonna have 2 nights of WrestleMania. And Philadelphia is a rough crowd. They'll let you know if they don't like something. And I think WWE realized that. I'm like, okay, we need to fix this. And that's what they did. And so far, we're going to have Cody and Roman at WrestleMania. That's going to be night 2. It's not going to be night 1. Speaking of night 1, that comes to mind. Like, there's been talk about Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth Rollins, the World Heavyweight Champion, on Raw. That's very possible. You have The Rock wrestle night 1. You still get your match. And then you still get The Rock to wrestle. And night 2, Roman goes up against Cody. You have maybe Roman beat The Rock, which I think they should. The Rock doesn't need a win. I mean, he's already established. He's already been established. He's a legend in the business. And then night 2, you have Roman against Cody. And then Cody wins, finishes the story. Maybe even The Rock costing Roman the title. Although, me personally, I want to see Cody win this clean. I think if he wins it with help, it still would be great to see Cody win it. It's going to be great regardless, but like, if Cody can win it cleanly without any questions, then, makes it even sweeter. So, and then you would have The Rock and Roman. You'd still get that match, but you would get it maybe SummerSlam. That would be the way to go. At this point, that would be the way to go. And then Cody, world champ, be on SmackDown. Got a lot of opponents too. I mean, think about it. And this is assuming that Cody does finish the story, wins the title. He'll be on SmackDown. He'll, look at the opponents he'd have. Could have a Randy Orton. AJ Styles. LA Knight. There's there's a lot of opponents. Even Solo. Think about that. Solo Sikoa. There's a lot of possibilities for Cody Rhodes. Assuming he wins the Universal title, because he'd have to be on SmackDown, and it'd be great. And then you have Rock Roman. Roman would take time off, and then you could have that head of the table match at SummerSlam. I think that seems like that's the way it's going to go, but who knows? I mean, like I said before, they've been pivoting, lately. So who knows? Maybe we'll see another pivot or two before WrestleMania. So there's just a lot of possibilities. But my point is, and I'm just rambling on, I feel good about this. I feel like this is good stuff. It's that Attitude Era vibe, that unpredictability, that you never know what's going to happen. They can zig. You think they zig, they'll zag. So yeah, I'm all for it. And even tonight on Raw, I watched a little bit of Raw and saw the Cody Seth promo. Seth willing to offer Cody that help. There could be a scenario where, and I even thought about this, like, let's say Cody doesn't win the title. Does Seth screw Cody? Now think about it. So, like, Cody didn't pick Seth for the match at WrestleMania. And deep down, there's still that hostility, that anger from Seth. Remember, Cody beat him 3 times. Seth has never beaten Cody. What if perhaps there's a scenario where Seth screws Cody? I mean, hey, you never know. You just never know. And, I don't think it'll happen, but mark this down. Mark this down. February 12th, 2024. What if Seth, with his promo tonight, offering Cody help, but maybe really trying to get back at Cody, not working with the Bloodline or anything like that. He's not involved with them, but this is just for himself. Like, hey man, you didn't pick me. I'm going to screw you over. Now I'm going to get that match I want. Something to think about there. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen, but you just never know, and it's possible to see something like that. So I'm just saying, that's just Ben's fantasy booking 101, whatever, ticket for what it's worth. Just saying. So yeah. So anyway, that was the fallout of the press conference. Good stuff. Like I said, it felt like Attitude Era vibes, which is what I like. It's what I grew up on. Let's got some comments in this section. Let's get to them. Backlash, isn't that after WrestleMania? What's up? Yep, it is. That'll be Backlash France. They're going to be in Paris for that show. That's the first Saturday of May, I believe. Sean Spencer, and thanks for tuning in, Sean. Appreciate it tonight. I just had an issue with The Rock slapping Cody. That was disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, it was good stuff. Rock just felt insulted, and he wants to teach Cody a lesson. So he went to Triple H and said, "You need to fix it." And I don't know. This is going to be fun. This Friday night on SmackDown, Cody, Roman, and The Rock are all going to be. They're scheduled to be in Salt Lake City for SmackDown this Friday night. So we're going to see the next page being turned here, and I can't wait for that. Sean also says, until I see Deborah, Ivory, Jacqueline, or even Sable, it won't be the Attitude Era to me. Lots of laughs, but yes, I definitely agree with it, having that old school feel. Yeah. Man, Deborah, Ivory, Jacqueline, and Sable. God, what a time. What a time that was. as you know, Sable is married to a guy that WWE is probably not going to be mentioning his name any longer. That would be Brock Lesnar. But yeah, Deborah Ivory and Jacqueline, she was great in WWE. Jacqueline started in. I'm going way back. Shows you how old I am. Back to the World Class Championship Wrestling days. She's wrestled all over Memphis and WCW and the WWE. She was with Mark Mero when he did the boxing gimmick. True story, Mark Mero was a real life Golden Gloves boxer. So yeah, so it makes sense. But yeah, those were great times, Sean. Great times. And again, it's not. We're not going to get the bra and panty matches, the backstage, run them over with the vehicle kind of stuff anymore. We're not going to get that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, as far as storylines, storytelling, characters, we're probably going into a direction where it's going to be more edgier. And keep in mind, WWE has to deal with Netflix now. So, they can go back to TV 14. And yes, they're still a publicly traded company, and still they're going to have to be careful on certain things. But I think with the Netflix deal, this is going to allow them to, kind of do some things they couldn't do on a network. Because you got to remember, network's a paying streaming service. So there won't be any advertising. There may be, but it's not like, them being on TV to where, you're on their television show, you're on their network. You have to follow certain criteria. Because you got advertisers. And advertisers, can get turned off by certain things. So with WWE going to Netflix, that would, as far as doing stuff that maybe they don't do right now, they're not going to get too extreme with stuff, but it definitely, puts them in a position where they can kind of bend but don't break as far as storylines and stuff like that, because they'll be on Netflix where, again, it's not a television network. They don't have a bunch of advertisements that, they have to, please, they have to make happy. So yeah, we definitely can see some changes once Raw gets to Netflix next January. Sean also says that CM Punk injury definitely threw a wrench in their plans. Yeah, no, I agree. Because from what the original plans were, it was going to be Cody and Roman, and then Seth and CM Punk. That Seth CM Punk thing, that would have been phenomenal. Yeah, it's too bad too, because that was one of those matches where I definitely wanted to see it. Seth Rollins just so good, with his character, and he puts on great matches. And CM Punk, same thing, great on the mic, can still work, but unfortunately with CM Punk, man, the injuries, they've just caught up with him the last couple of years. Before he came back to WWE, he had the torn pec, and then now the tricep injury. So it's a bummer. You hate to see that. Whether you like CM Punk or not, you don't want to wish anybody injuries. I mean, it's because that's the other thing. Like, it takes away a big match for Mania. It takes away, an opponent. Somebody would have wanted to face CM Punk at WrestleMania or on a big stage, SummerSlam or whatever. Not going to have that opportunity because of the injury. So it's, for people to, I've seen online people, trolls, they glad that Punk got hurt. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. Stop being insecure, okay? Like, CM Punk's a star. No matter if you like him or not, he's a star. He sells merchandise. And, it's pretty evident when he came back at Survivor Series, people remembered him. That pop was loud. And, so he's still a star, no matter if you like him or not. So, Sean Spencer says, I think Cody wins it clean, but that the bloodline will interfere. That will cause the truck to come in and save Cody. Truck probably meant Rock. Yeah, I could see that. I could see a little a smoz or some stuff happening outside the ring, just to make it one-on-one, Roman and Cody. If I had to predict right now, I think what's going to happen is night one, you're going to have the tag match, Rock Roman versus Cody and Seth. Cody and Seth will win. That'll cause some friction between Rock and Roman. And then night two, you see Cody beat Roman. And then there's going to be help from the bloodline. There's going to be some help from, let's say, a Seth Rollins or somebody. They'll help Cody out. Then make it a one-on-one match. And then Cody will end up winning. And then finish the story, win the belt. That seems like the scenario to me. And then that's where you're going to have Rock Roman. It sets it up. Head of the table match. You're probably most likely going to see that at SummerSlam. That would be their next big stadium type show. So, because thinking about this, like after Mania, you got Backlash, Paris, France. It's going to be like an arena show. You got Money in the Bank in Toronto. I believe it's Toronto. That'll also be in an arena. And then SummerSlam. They haven't even announced where it's going to be yet. I've heard somewhere like Cleveland is one of the cities that's been mentioned. But again, that's just speculation. I don't know where SummerSlam's going to be at. But yeah, so hey, that's where you could see The Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. I mean, at SummerSlam, I should say. And that may even headline SummerSlam. So, yeah, there's just a lot of possibilities, man. I for one, am excited, especially after that, once again, that WrestleMania kickoff press conference. It's definitely got me tuned in. I'm officially ready for WrestleMania season. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Strap up, buckle up. We're gonna have a lot of fun, man. This is gonna be a very, very interesting show, to say the least. 2 nights. But before we get to that, we got the Elimination Chamber. That'll be February 24th. It's going to be in Perth, Australia. Now, we've had some qualifying matches on SmackDown and Raw. It's interesting because during the WrestleMania kickoff show, they had Rhea Ripley come out, and then Becky Lynch, the man, comes out. So it seems like that's going to be the match at Mania. Now, Becky Lynch is already qualified for the women's Elimination Chamber. So, as you can see, Bianca Belair has too, and Liv Morgan, by the way, qualified tonight. She beat Zoe Stark. So, yeah, Becky, Liv, and Bianca, 3 of the 6 have already been qualified. There's 3 more that got to qualify for that match as well. But I just find it interesting that they had a Becky Rhea face-off. So it kind of tells you that's going to be one of the Mania matches. But again, who knows? Maybe it's a pivot. Maybe they'll, give us a swerve or something like that. Who knows? But I said all along, since late last year, that Rhea and Becky will probably be one of the matches at WrestleMania. And that's where Rhea may finally drop the Women's World Championship to Becky Lynch. So we'll see what happens there. But they do got Becky in the ring right now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And also in the men's Elimination Chamber, Drew McIntyre qualified. I think there's a couple more matches. Randy Orton qualified. So you got 2 guys that qualified for that Elimination Chamber. It's going to be interesting to see who faces Seth Rollins. That's going to be the other question. Like, who's it going to be? As I mentioned last week, Drew McIntyre's contract does expire after WrestleMania, so it'll be interesting to see if they try and push him, make him Seth's opponent. I mean, I think it would make a lot of sense, but at the same time, again, his contract's coming up. Normally you don't give big storyline programs to people on their way out. But then again, maybe they did a deal already, or Drew's coming back, so who knows? But as far as I know, from what I've seen so far, I haven't watched a lot of Raw tonight, but Drew and Orton are the first 2 to qualify. I think they had another qualifying match. I don't know if it's happened yet or not, but we'll see how that goes. So the Elimination Chamber's shaping up pretty nicely. Again, there's so far just been 2 matches named for that show. I'm sure in the next couple weeks we're going to have more matches announced, but that is the big event leading up to WrestleMania, and we'll see how it plays out. So, try and get to some other news. AEW, obviously they got a big show coming up, Revolution, in a few weeks. Sunday, March 3rd, Greensboro, North Carolina. That's going to be Sting's last match. He's teaming with Darby. They actually won the tag titles last Wednesday on Dynamite. They beat Ricky Starks and Big Bill. I guess. I mean, it's cool to see Sting win a title in AEW. But again, I've been on record saying this. I don't know if I mentioned on this show, but I just felt like I wish they would have did a one-on-one match with Sting for this show. And I wish it would have been against Darby. Have Darby turn heel. But then again, I get it. Maybe there's limitations with Sting where he can't do a full match. But then I ask myself, well, Sting's done these moves where he's jumped off guardrails and fell through tables and stuff, doing some hardcore stuff. So it just makes you wonder. But again, anyway, Sting and Darby won the tag titles, and after that match, the Young Bucks came out, beat him up, hit him with crowbar or silver painted baseball bat, props. They're probably just plastic little things, but you get my drift. So that's going to be the match at Revolution: Sting and Darby against Young Bucks. It's Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. They're playing off the EVPs, executive vice presidents, which technically they are in AEW, but and it's okay. I like the Young Bucks as heels. I mean, they are kind of snobby, arrogant. It works. And then the world title match, Samoa Joe will go up in a 3-way match. It's supposed to be Swerve against Hangman, and the winner of that match would face Samoa Joe, but it ended up being a time limit draw, and Tony Khan made it official. It'll be a 3-way match, triple threat: Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, and Swerve Strickland. Usually I'm not a big fan of triple threat type matches, but this might actually be pretty good. I gotta say. I mean, you got three very capable guys. Samoa Joe's just great. Love watching his work. Hangman Page is very good. He could use a heel turn. I think him being a face is getting a little stale. And then you got Swerve Strickland. I've mentioned it on other shows. I think he's the guy. Swerve he's your guy. I mean, going forward, he's just been really impressive. His ring work, it's always been great. His mic work, his promos, his charisma is just off the page. No pun intended to Adam Page, but he's gotten better, and he looks like a main eventer. And Swerve is somebody I would push, to the moon. He has all of it. The promos, the personality, can wrestle, put on a match with anybody. That's the direction they should go, in my opinion. And then there's some other news. Tony Khan had his big famous announcements. Here's a big one. March 13th, it'll be called Big Business. That's what Dynamite's going to be called for that night. That's supposed to be the debut of Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, which is fine. I think it's great for the women's division there. But again, it's all about the booking. Can Tony Khan book this thing right with the women's division? They're doing some decent stuff with Toni Storm, Timeless Toni Storm. I think it's some good stuff. Deonna Purrazzo, she's been good since she came to AEW. So now you got Mercedes Moné in the mix. You got some other ones like Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. You got Thunder Rosa. I mean, you got a talented women's division in AEW. I just hope that they know how to book it, because it's a very talented division. Mercedes Moné is definitely going to help. But again, what good does it do if you don't use them right, you don't book them right, have storylines? Yeah, it's great. Tony Khan signs all these wrestlers, but got to know how to use them. So we'll see what happens there. And then the other rumor I've heard is Kazuchika Okada, from New Japan, the Rainmaker. He's supposedly is signed with AEW as well, so he could be debuting on that show as well, March 13th. So it'll be a big night for AEW. It'll be after the Revolution pay-per-view, a week after that. But we'll see what happens, see what they do with it. And then the other news, we heard last week that TNA, they released Scott D'Amore, the president of TNA, which really surprised me. I kind of stunned by that. Scott D'Amore has done a great job with TNA. He rebranded it, brought it back to TNA. It used to be Impact Wrestling. Scott D'Amore is a great wrestling mind, and he really turned that company around where he had to rebuild it, and get it back to respectability. And, because it's been down for a while, and, TNA hasn't been this popular since back in the TNA days, back in the mid to late 2000s to the early 2010s. And Scott D'Amore's done a great job of, pretty much rebuilding that roster, making it a good show to watch. And there's a lot of talent on that roster, as we know. We saw Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, go to TNA. You got Moose as the TNA champion. They got a talented roster, and just surprising to see Scott D'Amore being let go like that. Rumors were also that he was thinking about buying TNA. He had a financial backup with a bank institution that would approve his deal, but Anthem rejected it, and seems like they want to go in a different direction. So it's disappointing to see Scott D'Amore gone. If I'm WWE or AEW, I'd be, especially AEW. If you're Tony Khan, like, dude, call him up, sign him. I would sign Scott D'Amore. He's a great wrestling mind, and don't just sign him, Tony. Bring him in for his wrestling knowledge. He could really do wonders with that AEW roster. He really can. He's got a great mind for the business. Knows how to do storylines. Put characters in the right spot. Great character development. Scott D'Amore has just a incredible amount of wrestling knowledge that Tony Khan can certainly use in his company. If I'm Tony Khan, man, sign him. Or WWE, sign him, bring him in. I mean, he could help with WWE as well. So I think Scott D'Amore will be fine. He's one of those two companies I think is going to sign him. But for TNA, it's a shame because they're just starting to get that company going, getting some momentum, especially after their Hard to Kill show, their pay-per-view, and then their tapings in Las Vegas. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, man. So with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. And as always, you can follow me on X at BennyBoy702. You can also watch the show on X on my X page. And on my YouTube channel, Ben Cornett 9015, where you're watching the show as well. And all my shows, have at it. Also on Facebook in the Ben Zone Facebook group. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I also share it on my personal page. You can watch it there as well. And if you're an Instagrammer, go to Ben702 Forever. That's where you'll find me as well. And as always, please like and share my shows and my YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode 33 of Face the Heels, as we head towards Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. This is the best time of year, by the way, because we just got done with the NFL's Super Bowl. Now we're building toward the Pro Wrestling Super Bowl, which is WrestleMania. So with that being said, I am going to be out, and I will see everybody next time right here on Face the Heels. Thanks again, everybody. Please like and share, and I will see you next time. So have a good night, and we will be back next time on Face the Heels. Take care, everybody.